Hi, my name is Ashley Hillier. I'm 26 years old. My dry date is November 1st, 2020. So it's actually really cool. My dry date is the same date as my dad's dry date. My dad's in recovery, and he's actually what inspired me to find the rooms, to find the program, find recovery. Ever since I was a kid, I always looked for outside things to kind of provide me with instant gratification. I was very insecure. I struggled with body image. I grew up with an abusive stepdad. And my dad, because of his addiction, he wasn't present in my life. He was in and out, but he wasn't always there. So I struggled with a lot of abandonment issues. I always just thought something was wrong with me, that I wasn't enough. And these feelings of being inadequate led me to the life of using drugs and alcohol. I probably started using drugs from as young as 13 years old. It started off with just weed, alcohol, but then it became progressive. Anything that anybody would offer me, I wouldn't even know what it is. I would take it just because I wanted these feelings of trauma and inadequacy to go away. What it was like, it was broken, it was dark, it was depressing. I felt like I had nobody to go to. And it's really ironic because I have this amazing family now, and when I look back, I used to always say I had nobody, I was alone, I had no family. So to see it really shows how sick I was and how broken I felt from such a young age. Like I said, I'm 26 now. So I've spent a good 12 years using drugs and alcohol, trying to mask things from when I was young. So I have 2 kids. I don't have them with me at this time. I am working towards having them home, but because of my disease and from using, I lost them. I had a choice between having this man in my life that was the father of my kids, or my kids, and I chose the relationship because, again, my kids weren't enough to make me feel full. They didn't give me that gratification that I needed at that time. And that's really sick thinking, When I had my son, when I decided to go through the pregnancy, when I found out I was pregnant at 17, my thought was instantly, oh, now I can have somebody that will love me forever. And it only just ended up ruining his life. By the grace of a power greater than myself and something watching over me, my kids are very healthy, beautiful, amazing, wonderful children. But I'm lucky because the stuff that I put them through came to a point where I would ignore my children and I'd be downstairs in the basement smoking crack. My kids would run the house. One time I was so tired after being up for 4 days in a row. I was sleeping and my stepdaughter went to go use the oven and there was a glass dish on top and it exploded and got glass everywhere. Again, luckily nothing happened to them, but this is the kind of mom I was. This is the kind of person I became because of this progressive illness that was ruining my life and my children's lives. But all I could think about was I need to find a way to get more money. I need to sleep more because mommy's tired. Unfortunately, nothing mattered at the time. And it's not that I ever didn't love my kids, and that's not the message I'm trying to portray. I was so wrapped up in my own shit and my own disease and my own need to fill this void that, my dad always says that he couldn't love me back to health. My kids couldn't love me back to health, But I'm really fortunate right now to be in this position and sitting here talking to you right now because I can understand. I can see where my dad was coming from because now I've had to let people go that are still out using, and I can see what he meant by that. Because my children's father, he ended up taking on the role of my father to my son. Because his dad stepped away, and he was amazing. He was perfect in every way, I thought, but really he was the most abusive person. He was physically abusive, financially abusive, sexually abusive, emotionally abusive, and I thought that it was okay. He ended up beating me up and went to jail because it was caught on camera, and I was trying to do everything to find a surety to get him out. I was told he wasn't allowed to be around me and the kids, and I still had him around. He was always first. I never got I never did anything that didn't benefit him. I was so involved in him. Throughout a relationship, we were together for 7 years. We ended up getting clean together for 4 years. But when I say getting clean, it was more so, it wasn't real recovery, I guess you could say. I was still drinking here and there, and I was still smoking weed every day, and I wasn't attending any other program. I was just, I was preaching like I was in recovery, but I wasn't really. I thought I could do it myself. I thought that, my will's the best way, that I didn't need outside help, that I could do this on my own. That ended up blowing up in my face. For almost 4 years of being clean, I stopped doing the little things that I was doing. I stopped doing those, and cocaine was introduced one day. And I thought because I could smoke weed sometimes, and that I could drink sometimes, that I could do cocaine sometimes, that I won't become addicted. It's just not the case, not for my type of addict. Within 2 months of doing cocaine, I was smoking crack. And then within 3 months of smoking crack, I lost everything. Children's Aid came and apprehended the kids. My house, I lost my house because I stopped paying rent. My cars were gone. And the whole time when I think about that recovery and that clean time I had, again, it was all about myself, and it was but not in a healthy way. And it was all about making sure that I could be the best that I could be, so that my partner could look up to me and feed off my recovery, because I really wanted to have recovery with me. I wanted us to be clean together. It was all about, again, yes, drugs, yes, alcohol, but sex and relationships are a huge part of my story, because I always felt like I needed to have somebody there so that they could reassure me that I'm loved and that I'm beautiful, and just all these things that I couldn't. I had so much self-hate, and I had so much self-hate that I couldn't rely on myself to make me happy. I had to rely on another person, which almost costed me my life. Because of that relapse with the cocaine, the crack, somehow along the way I was introduced to fentanyl. I was using fentanyl for almost 2 years. I was on the street with my partner. I've had multiple overdoses. Luckily, I'm able to sit here today. I would watch the person that I love most put needles in his arm. I watched him overdose multiple times. Came to the point that I knew that if I kept going, I was gonna die. I already did. I already did die. I died twice, and I'm not a cat. I don't have 9 lives. So I knew that something had to change. I was about to be on the street again for another winter, and I was so sick of sleeping behind dumpsters and behind these back alleyways at Niagara Casino, and I knew something had to change. And the one day while I was sitting there I stumbled across sorry, I can't speak. I stumbled across a podcast called Relating in Recovery, and ironically, I didn't know at the time it was my dad's podcast. My friend showed it to me, and it's amazing how things happen. It's really amazing how things happen. My friend showed me this podcast, and I guess it was an accident. It wasn't supposed to be released, so nothing short of coincidence how it all happened. But yeah, I listened to it. I heard my dad, and I reached out to him, and he invited me to a meeting, so I went. I'd like to say I got clean right then and there, but it still took a couple of months of using. I had to really hit my bottom. And then actually it was the Halloween weekend, this past Halloween, that something was going on. Oh, it was my dad's 4 years. That's my dad's 4 years anniversary, and I wanted to do something fun. I wanted to get away, and I knew money was coming in, and instead of putting it towards a house, I was gonna go get an Airbnb for a weekend with my partner. Anyways, somebody invited me to come to Oshawa to surprise my dad, and so we'll do whatever. So we ended up going from London area at this point. So I tried the geological cure. I was all over the place. So we left London and took a train down to Oshawa. And I went to my dad's on October 31st, and that's the last day that I picked up a drink or a drug. I saw everything that my dad accumulated throughout his recovery. I see this beautiful life he had, knowing he has all his kids back in his life, and knowing the dad that I knew growing up. The absent dad, the drunk dad, the falling over at the beach dad, the vulgar, loud dad, the one that nobody wanted to be around. I remembered him, but I saw before me standing somebody totally different, and that was content. And I was just happy happy but content with their life, you know, that has built such a beautiful life because of recovery, because of sobriety. And you know, they say, if you want what we have, do what we do. I looked at my dad, and that's exactly what I wanted. If my dad could do it, then I can freaking do it. So yeah, that was kind of the turning point. I looked and I knew if I stay doing what I'm doing, I'm going to be dead and I'm going to be spending another winter on the street, and I just couldn't do that again. So yeah, so that weekend when our Airbnb was up and I was supposed to go back, I said, no, I'm staying. My dad offered me and my partner both separate living arrangements to work on our recovery separately. You know, we both took the help, but I really took the help and he didn't. I went to go stay with with a family member, and she provided me with beautiful safe homes so I could work on myself until I got into treatment. And you know, my partner was presented the exact same opportunity. Unfortunately, he didn't want it as bad as I did at that time. And when I was in treatment, I made the decision to end things with him and to stop communication. Which honestly, and I'm mentioning this because this is probably the biggest turning point for me in my recovery. This is the first time that I've ever chose myself. The first time that I ever gave myself an opportunity to breathe and really do something for me. Not for him, not for my dad, not for anybody else, but just for me. And there's something so empowering in that because I've never done that before. I always thought I was so inadequate and so not worth anything. And this is the first time that I thought, you know, I can do something special here. If my dad can do it, why can't I do it? And it was just so different. Everything was so different. And a lot of people say that, but this was so different. I never thought I could live without this relationship. I thought I would literally die without this relationship. And to feel so free once I let this relationship go and just to focus on myself had to be the most empowering thing. And ever since then, it's just been nothing but miracles and nothing but these amazing things that have been happening, and not just because I pray on them or wish for them, but because I take the action that I need to take. Now I'm going to school I got a scholarship for a yoga teacher training program. I just got my Reiki practitioner certification. I have so many goals and dreams, and I'm doing it all for myself this time. It's not for anybody else. It's not to please a partner. It's not so that other people would like me. It's because these are things that I'm discovering that I like about myself. These are things I like to do. I never knew what I liked before because I always fed off what other people wanted me to be and what other people liked. So I liked those things just so that they would like me more. It's insanity. So yeah, it's the first time ever in my life I'm learning who I am, and it's powerful.
Would you have any advice for anybody that would be trying to get sober?
To do this for you. If I had to give a piece of advice to anybody, to cut off any reservations that are holding you back from fully embracing your own journey and being your own person. Because it is hard, it's easier said than done, and I know that, 100% I know that. But to make sure when you're doing this, you do it for you, 100% for you, and I truly believe you'll have the most success doing it.